Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about the Amadeus Master Pricer and what it is and what does it do. So the Master Pricer is accessed with this command here, the fxd command. By typing that command you will apply the Master Pricer and tell Amadeus to look for the best available fares for a certain route on certain dates. So it doesn't like give you the fastest or least connections or anything, but only the best available fare. Doesn't need to be the best connection, but it's the lowest fare, and it's sorted from the lowest and so on. So the most basic command that you can type is fxd and then a city pair. This will give you whatever is available today. If you type this one here, for example, you will get a list of available fares. And this is actually on the same day because we didn't specify any date. And you can see that they are listed in recommendations and groups. And what are the differences here now? So the result that Amadeus gives us is that there are 13 groups and 47 recommendations. So within these 13 groups, you have 47 different recommendations. And one group is basically one fare, you can say. You see here that there's group 1 for 165 and 93, group 2 is 262 and 68, and so on. Then you can navigate with the move down and move up commands, or F7 and F8, as you like. And one group means, as I mentioned, one price. And if there are more than one recommendation, that means that there can be different departures in the same day. And for more complex routes, it can also be different kind of connections, but they cost the same. That's the most important thing. What else can we find here? We can find the price here, how much is tax. We can find fare basis. We find the flight number and the day and also the city pair, departure and arrival city, departure and arrival time, the equipment, and also the total duration and baggage allowance. Okay, what can we do with this now? So we can either select with the fxs command, and since it's group number 1, it says choose fxs1. And if we do that now, we could scroll through all the recommendations within that group. So let's see, we type fxs1, and then we are now inside that group. And here you can see recommendation number 1, recommendation number 2. And if we scroll down, you would also see recommendation number 3. So as you can see, they have all the same prices, but they're different flight numbers, means they go on different times. This goes at 8:55 p.m., 6:10 p.m., and the first one went at 3:40 p.m. So 3 different flights between that cities for the same price. If we now want to book that one, let's say we want to take that, we can either choose FXZ1 to book or FXU1 to book and directly create a TST. But remember, if we want to have a TST, of course we first have to enter a name, otherwise it would not work. If we want to go back to our FXD display, we can type MPFXD. So we don't need to write the comment another time. As you will see later, there can be pretty long and complex comments, and we don't want to retype them. So here we go through the different groups, and you can see that the next one here is with the connection Amsterdam, and it will continue like that. And they list all the airlines, all the fares, but it starts always with the cheapest first. Okay. Let's see how the command works if we specify the date as well. So when you want to go, let's say one day in June, then you type fxd, and then you start with the first city, the origin city. Then you make a slash, and then you type the date, let's say 10th of June, and where you want to go. So, and the important thing is that the city must follow directly after the date, if there's not any other option added to it, which we will talk about shortly. And always good to include unpublished fares as well when you work in a travel agency. So here now we get all the available fares on the 10th of June between Paris and Munich. And the system is exactly the same like what we have been looking at before. So the cheapest here is 127.93 euro, for example. And here you can see the next step is around, it's 153 euro. And it's also an Air France flight, but that goes little on the afternoon, not directly in the morning. So if we want to look for return fares, we start exactly the same. We type FXD, the origin city, /D for day, 10th of June, Munich. Then we want to go back, so we make another slash, and then we type the day when we want to fly back. Let's say the 17th June, and where we want to fly to Paris, back to Paris. And we get another result here. Now we get, and you see there's a lot of Air France, of course, since it's Paris. And the cheapest one we get here is 196.22. And it's important to also know that the FXD looks really only at the lowest price. This doesn't say anything about fare rules or anything about baggage allowance. Yes, you can see the baggage allowance here, but you don't know anything about the fare rules. And since they are very cheap, of course, you can assume that these fares are pretty much restricted in some way. Non-refundable mostly, and maybe changeable with a fee. If we now were to book the first one, for example, without creating a TST, we can directly type FXZ1, and then we have it successfully booked. And you can also receive it. So here's our trip that we have booked. And if you want to do it like this, that you want to, for example, go back from another city, you can also define open jaws. So what do we do here? We go in our command, and to tell Amadeus there is an open jaw, we make 2 dashes, and then we type the city where we are actually going back from. So let's say now, for example, the customer fly from Paris to Munich, but then back from Frankfurt. Then we would type Frankfurt before the slash here of the day. And then we would get the open jaw. You see now that it goes from Paris to Munich, but back from Frankfurt to Paris. Okay, so this is how you define the open jaw, and this is very important to know. So after these 2 dashes, directly the city from where you are returning. So these 2 dashes also kind of indicate that the first part of the journey is done. Okay, so let's have a look at a little more complex commands. Or let's say not directly complex, but we can of course add options to our comments as well. Let's say we want to specify a certain time when we want to fly. What you would do here is you would type your comment, but then you would add TD and then the time to it. TD means to depart. So here we specify flights only from 4 in the afternoon and later. So all the flights before 4 in the afternoon are filtered out. Likewise, the TA command says to arrive. So these are all the flights that arrive in Paris before 6 p.m. All the flights that arrive after are filtered out that way. So this way you can narrow down your search. So let's see what we find if we type this command. So here you see now, for example, okay, this is 1540. Let's say it's around 4 kind of, and it arrives before 6 in Paris. Likewise here you see the next group here has 4:30. So it's around, it's maybe not exactly at 4, but it's around 4. It filters out everything that is way too early. So another time. You type the option, and direct after the option, after the last option, shall not be a slash. And this is very important to know with the FXD command, that you must always separate the different options with a slash, right? Like here, you have now the date and the time. But important thing is that after the last option that you added and the like arrival city, there should not be a slash. Likewise here. always when you ask, the same when you, for example, want to specify a cabin class, let's say you want to fly in business class back, you make a slash and then you type KC and directly Paris. This way you fly economy class out and business class back. And you use exactly the same cabin class letters like usual. KM for economy, KW for premium economy, and KC for business. All right, so let's have a little more complex now. Let's say someone wants to go to the US and make a tour there. So here I have a comment for you. We go from Paris on the 10th of June in business class to Los Angeles. Then we continue on 12th June in first class to Atlanta. And from there we go on the 15th of June in first class to New York. And then on the 20th of June in business class back to Paris. If we were to look for this now, then we would get our results here. And Amadeus has to think a little, as you can see. So you see now that our cheapest fare that we get for this itinerary is actually 8,144 euro. That's pretty expensive. But you see that's business class and first class the whole way. You have 2 checked luggages all the way. And we could also have a look at how flexible these tickets actually are. So if we now type FXZ1, for example, to look at the first one, then we could type FQN to look at the fare rules. And you see that these are changeable without any penalty. And they're even refundable. So, and the same with the other ones. Yeah. So they're actually even refundable. So they are pretty flexible fares as well, which means that it doesn't matter that they're so expensive. They're very flexible. Let's have another look now to specify a little more. Let's say we retype our command, but now we want to look at different airlines, what they have to offer. I mean, when you fly from Paris to the US and back, it's pretty obvious that you would have Air France and Delta somehow, because they're like working together, and this is like the clearest way how to go to the US from Paris, or from France in general. But let's say now, for example, we want to go with another airline alliance. Let's say we want to go with the One World. Yeah? We can check their fares as well, what they have. Doesn't need to be, if you don't want to fly with Air France Delta, you can check other airlines as well. So for example, here we have One World now, and here you have a lot of Iberia, you have American Airlines and so on. And you can see that the cheapest fare is a little cheaper now. It's 6,911 euro, which is not as much as the other one. If we were now to check on the fare rules, I'm sure there would also be pretty flexible. Okay, here we get now a error message. Could be because of the training environment. So, but anyway, here we have business and first class fares as well. They're a little cheaper, and it goes with the One World airline. So this way you can also specify your commands by including different alliances. And sometimes the customers have loyalty cards and they want to collect points. So it's important to know which alliance they want to fly with. If you now were to apply the open jaw option is here as well, you could do it by doing, for example, like this, that the customer goes to Atlanta, but then he somehow goes back from Miami to New York City. Then you type your 2 dashes and then Miami directly afterwards. And then we can have a look at what Amadeus says about that. And Amadeus must think a little with these FXD commands, because of course they have to search for the best fares. And you can see 8,660 would be the best option here for that. So, but as I said, make always sure that you check the total flight times and the connection times, because they can, since it's looked for the best fare, means you can also get very long connections and everything, and maybe that's not always suitable for the customer. So this is how the Master Pricer works in general. there's actually another option how you can use the Master Pricer, and this is from an availability search. So let us look at how we do that. Let's say we want to look for a flight like this on 10th June and we want to go from, I don't know, from Singapore to New York City. So, and we want to go with Singapore Airlines in economy class. Then we pick our flight here and we want to go back, let's say 14 days later. Then we get our here and we pick our seat. So now we can look at, okay, what would that cost us? The cheapest fare is 1,631 euro would be the best fare for that. So remember this, 1,631. So, and here actually can we apply the fxd command to see what is the best price we can get on that certain route on these days. So we simply type fxd after we picked our seats, and the system will look for the best possible fare on that route. So let's see now. And there the display is a little different after the availability search, and I will explain that shortly once the Amadeus is done with the calculation. It seems like it takes a little time today. Not that the system gets tired now. Come on. Doesn't seem to want to do what I want to do. Fares temporary unavailable. Okay. Okay. So when you are using the training environment, it's sometimes a little unstable, especially when you use routes like around Asia and stuff like that. So okay, let's just try something different. Let us just wait until the system is done and gives me the same error message again. Then we will try a different route, maybe that will work. Doesn't want to really. Yeah, guys, I'm really sorry for that. I didn't plan for this now. I was hoping that I could. Okay, let's open up another command page. So we want to have now, let's say we take another day, 25th May from, let's say, London to, what can we say, to Cairo, for example, in economy. Let's say what is the best we get here. We get British Airways, we can take that one, British Airways. And then we go make 14 days and go back with British Airways. And now we have our fares here. And let's apply the FXD now to see if first we gotta price it. Best available fare would be 719 euro and 65. In the no bag fare family means there's no checked bag included. So remember that, 719 and 65. So let's see if we can't find anything better than that. All right, that worked. So now the display is a little different. So the first fare that is shown here is the one that we actually picked. So best available fare for current PNR. And this was our 719 and 65. This was the same that we looked at here before. You see here, that's that one. But now after this, we get all the available fares on that route on that day, on these days. And you can see that the cheapest is actually almost 300 euro cheaper. And let's see what is that. Group 2. Yeah. And this is actually with Saudi Arabian through Jeddah and back through Riyadh. So it's a little like kind of, yeah, I don't know what can I tell you. It's a nice excursion to fly from London to Cairo through Jeddah and then back through Riyadh. It feels a little like unnecessarily, but it's 300 euro cheaper. But it has not even so long connection anyway. So, but of course you see that the flight is like more than double that long as with the British Airways. So here we gotta see what is like more important for the customer, the price or the length of the journey. So the customer will be willing to pay 719 euro and be there fast, or is it okay to go through Saudi Arabia? Seems a little, I don't know, but but for that price you even have a check baggage here. Then you could also compare the fare rules again, of course. So this is a way how to use the Master Pricer. I hope you find this video informative and interesting and that you learned something from it. And if you have any questions or if you want to ask about something or give me advices to what to talk about in other videos, you can just comment, please. Please like and follow the channel and see you next time. Bye bye.